Hello. Well, as you know, I am just an ordinary British housewife sitting here in the attic of my house, which is the only place where I can ever get any peace, and looking at things on the news and thinking about them. And of course, to my devastated horror this morning, I woke up to this headline in the Daily Telegraph. Donald Trump indictment latest. Trump says the witch hunt will backfire. Now, I have to say that also as an ex-English teacher, witch hunts don't backfire. There's a slight problem with mixed metaphors here, but then the Telegraph are using an extremely unflattering picture of Trump as well, so perhaps there's a little tweaking going on here. Anyway, before I give my thoughts about this awful occurrence of an American president, well, ex-president, but you know what I mean, actually standing in a dock, well, or before that, having his mugshot taken and his fingerprints taken. This is, well, it should be embarrassing to the Americans, but, well, they've avoided embarrassment about other things, so why not this? I shall tell you, I'm granniopteryx. I'm on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds. I'm also on Twitter, Gab and Parler. On the first, I upload my videos. On the second, I let you know that I have uploaded my videos. I have to do that especially for YouTube because they're a little bit careless about telling people about uploads. So I've been told. Also, YouTube are careless about keeping your subscription going. So if you do have a subscription, please check that you still have it active, and if you don't, then please subscribe. The best way you can help my channel though is to click like. You can share as well, and you can support me financially, but clicking that like is the important thing. All right, now let's talk about Donald Trump. He says the witch hunt will backfire. Okay, and he actually faces criminal charges. So as far as I have learnt from my attic here over on this side of the Atlantic, it is that he had a relationship with a young woman of somewhat elasticated morals, and he then had to pay her off. Well, you know, if you have relationships with people who obviously have morals for sale, then you are going to get results like this. So he paid her off, and I thought, well, yeah, that won't be the first time a politician has paid off a young woman of somewhat elasticated morals. But as it turns out, I was told, well, yeah, the problem with him was he did that out of campaign funds. So that's not very nice, but his defence is saying she would have been paid anyway out of some funds or another. I mean, it's not as if Mr. Trump is short of a bob or two, is it? So the reason it came out of campaign funds is not a particularly egregious thing, and the money would have gone back there somehow in any case. Okay, that's probably not a very legal thing to do. I'm not defending it. But I do remember that there was another American president, and I have the page here, in which an American president had a relationship with a young woman of somewhat elasticated morals, and he lied under oath. Now, I don't know about the various legal balances, but I do believe that lying under oath, seeing as it's one of the 10 commandments, that's probably worse than paying somebody out of campaign funds, because as much as I checked with my edition of the 10 commandments anyway, paying someone out of campaign funds doesn't actually occur in the list. Lying under oath does. But then, yeah, maybe that's just my truth. The Democrats seem to be quite into this my truth idea. Anyway, so I loved this. It's an absolute masterpiece of prevarication from Clinton. I tried to walk a fine line between acting lawfully and testifying falsely. No, look, there isn't a fine line. You either act lawfully or you don't. It's not a fine line. It's a very straight line and very well defined by most laws. And lying and telling the truth, that's really a particularly good example of either one or the other. Anyway, look, I tried to walk a fine line between acting lawfully and testifying falsely, but I now recognise that I did not fully accomplish this goal, and that certain of my responses were false. Right, now, that could be, also speaking as an English teacher, translate that into English. I lied. That's all. I lied. That is the only thing that whole thing means. Anyway, so what happened is Clinton was not arrested. He was not indicted, although he did something that apparently, well, to my, as I say, housewifely eyes, is completely in a different level. All right, so here we have Trump, latest, the witch hunt backfiring. Yeah, well, you should think about what you say. Cars backfire, guns, well, backfire or misfire or something. Witch hunts just get the wrong person or are unreasonable in some way. The comments follow a grand jury vote to indict Mr. Trump over hush money payment to a porn star, which will make him the first former president to be charged with a crime. Well, he's the first president to have been under the legal scrutiny of mostly, I suspect, Democrat supporters that I know about, as I say, here from my little house over on this side of the Atlantic. Now, it seems to me to be quite obvious that this has a political motive. There are other presidents who've done bad things. There is always a certain political or social aspect to prosecutions. That reminds me of something Winston Churchill said. The governor of the island of Jersey, which was taken over by the Germans during the Second World War, he cooperated with the Germans. He was not very nice at all. But for political reasons, the British government had to pretend that he was part of the British resistance. And at one point, Churchill said, "I've either got to hang that man or give him a medal." I think he ended up with the medal. All right, so definitely there's a political aspect, but this particular political aspect can be rivaled only by the story of another chap, and that's a guy called Alexei Navalny, who, when a poisoning failed, was finally arrested by the Putin government for, I don't know what, spitting on the pavement or wearing a loud shirt in a built-up area or something like that. And now he's in jail, and he's in jail because he's a focus. I want to tell you that he's a Russian nationalist and probably not such a nice person politically from our point of view. However, next to Putin, he starts to look like an absolute saint. And I would suggest that this attempt to politically castrate Trump is going to just make him a lot more popular with a lot of his supporters in the USA and maybe around the world as well. So, I mean, this witch hunt might very well backfire. To coin a phrase. All right, well, that's my take on the Trump indictment. Till next time. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the granniopteryx design or Granbo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.granniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please Click like, subscribe and share, share, share.